Thursday of the month. Healthy minds, better lives. And before we go any further, I'm going to bring in, well, Tammy and Hayley. Good evening, Hayley.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Tammy.
Good evening, everyone. Nice to be back.
It's great, isn't it? It feels like I've blinked, turned my head, and we're back here again. But that's why we love it, because it means that there's new things to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What we can expect on the show this evening is lots of chatter, lots of talk about mental well-being, and to aid us in overcoming challenges and to talk about mental well-being and mental health, we've got not one, well, not even two, but 3, 4, 5, 5 guests joining us this evening in the form of, we've got Rachelle Bright joining us, and also we have got Hmbl. The ladies of Hmbl, the ladies of the sea, are joining us. So Rachel's joining us at 9:30 to talk about Time to Change Wales, and we've got Hmbl talking about the challenge that they're going to be undertaking, which is incredible. Hayley, very quickly before we have a bit of chit chat, Time to Change Wales. In an overview, why should people stick around for half an hour to listen to Rachelle?
They really do shine the light on stigma and discrimination in the workplace. I'm one of their champions, so I go into workplaces and share my story. So they offer lots of free services to organisations. So if you are looking for somebody to come and join your organisation and deliver a talk, or they do the pledge, which Rachel will share a little bit more about. If your organisation is looking to get involved with the pledge as well with mental health, then yeah, it's a good reason to stick around.
Fantastic. So we'll hear more from Rachel later on. Good evening to Lloyd Crawley. He's joining us here this evening. And well, we have talked about SAD in the past, and it would be like, we need to mention the fact that we're definitely into a new season here with the weather that we've been having. Tammy, I know that I've discussed SAD with you at length over the course of, I think it's 2 years we've been in communication on the radio. This weather, what does it mean to you, and what can it signify to others?
Well, for me, from a very selfish point of view, I'm a summer baby, and I love the sun. I love the weather that we've been having. But regardless of being playful, it can have an impact on people's mental health. We think of SAD, so that's seasonal affective disorder, happening just in the winter months, but it's all year round. It doesn't necessarily have to happen in spring. It can happen in summer. We see other people getting excited, going out and about, and some people don't want to. Some people don't share that enthusiasm. So it has a massive impact on emotional and mental well-being.
Yeah. And Hayley, what's your view on the season at the moment? I believe that you're also a summer baby.
I am a summer baby, and I do love the sunshine. And I know that the theme of the show tonight we've talked about is perception and the difference between reality and sort of what people think things are. And I think there's a lot to be said about going out in the sun if it does you good. But as you said, for some people it doesn't, for lots of different reasons. So it's going to be really good tonight to look at how people think about things or view things, and how different they are for different people.
Yeah, and we would love your input with this as well. We're live on the radio, on your smart speaker, on the mobile app, and online. And also we're live on our social media, as we are every second Thursday of the month here. And you can also WhatsApp us 01437 764455 if you don't want to put your comments publicly on the video, or you can also private message us on the messenger as well. We would love to get your take on the topics that we're going to be talking about this evening. I'm an autumn baby, but I am designed for this weather. I love waking up and thinking, oh, what am I going to wear today? Shorts and t-shirt, bosh. And I went for a walk earlier around the racecourse in Haverfordwest, and even the breeze was warm. And I was like, this is a happy place for me personally. Oh, where's your favourite place to enjoy the sunshine, Hayley?
Well, I live in Llanelli, so there's loads of beaches down here. I've got different favourite beaches at different points. And I get a little bit miffed when there's other people on my beach.
It's mine. So you're the beach. I'm usually beach. Do you know, I haven't seen many beaches recently, so I need to make a point of getting down to the coastline. Tammy, what about you? How do you enjoy the sunshine?
I just like being outdoors. So whether it's in the garden, whether it's on the beach, whether it's just going for a walk, I will just happily enjoy the sunshine, the warm weather, that feel-good factor, just anywhere and everywhere. It does give all those wonderful serotonins, those feel-good hormones. Yeah, it's a happy place just being outside and smugly being able to like do my washing and it dry on the same day.
However, we learned earlier on the breakfast show, we had Dr. Ellie Cannon join us. If you suffer with hay fever, don't hang your clothes on the line. You're doing yourself a disservice.
I didn't know that.
From the doctor herself. And we've got on the screen here, for those that are watching us on social media, if you want to join us over there, please do. Perception be reality. And we're talking about our happy stories of being in the sunshine and getting out and about and looking like we're basking and enjoying. But there might be some people that might have that disposition on their face, but the reality is they might not actually singing "The Sun Has Got His Hat On." Hayley.
Yeah, I would agree. I think putting a smile on is very, very easy, isn't it? And I think it's expected of us. And when people look and they say to you, "How are you?" and you say, "I'm good," or "I'm okay," we'll take that at face value. But underneath it all, there could be some real struggles with mental health or other things going on that they're not ready to share. So it can be quite the mask, I suppose, as we like to call it, hiding things away while projecting what we want people to see.
Yeah. Now, Tammy, we were just discussing before the show came on about certain categories of people, which sounds awful now I've said that out loud. The categories of people, because this month and this week and last week, kind of halfway through, lots of things are being celebrated or are having awareness raised about them. Do you want to give us a bit of an overview as to what we've been discussing over the last couple of days and what these signify?
So we've got different campaigns happening. And we all know what my standpoint is on these campaigns, and I do sound like a broken record. But again, anything that raises awareness and brings important topics to the forefront is always going to be great to spark that communication, that conversation. So we are in the middle of Carers Week. We've also got Volunteers Week, and it's also Pride Month. Pride Month. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot of things to be celebrating, as well as if you didn't know, to bring it to the forefront, to have those discussions. But there's lots of things to celebrate as well as to reflect on.
Yeah. Now, Hayley, should we go through each of these awareness weeks? They happen to fall when we're here live on Healthy Minds. And as much as they're usually termed in a celebratory kind of way and in an awareness raising kind of way, there's a reason why an awareness has to be raised in the first place, isn't there?
I think so. And obviously part of it is that people don't understand what that role maybe includes. I'm having one of those days. But if you think about a carer who something has changed in their life, and we support carers, we're enthusiastic about carers, and we want to praise carers. But if you've been forced into a situation because something's changed in your life and there are no other options, it really is a tough place to be. And I think we have to remember that. It's okay celebrating things, but being realistic about what that means for some people is great. I think, don't quote me on the numbers. I'm sure there's I can't think of the numbers. There are carers out there who are unpaid.
Yeah.
Many, and I would say in the millions of carers who are unpaid, doing the jobs. They may be working themselves, they may be parents themselves and caring for elderly relatives, they may be having to care for children who have been born with disabilities. And it's tough. It really is a tough job. And I think we need to bring that awareness as well, that yes, wonderful, it's great that they're doing it, but actually, have they got the support that they need? Have they got all the resources that they need? And are we doing them the service that they deserve?
I echo that completely, Hayley. I've been doing a lot of work with unpaid carers across the 3 counties.
Right.
That engagement, that consultation. And again, yes, we can celebrate or draw awareness to, but again, no one actually signs up to becoming an unpaid carer.
Mm.
We spoke off air, when you're kind of a student, and you're thinking about your career path, you wouldn't choose, or you don't choose to become an unpaid carer later on in life. And even just saying that, I'm thinking about young carers where they haven't even had that choice. They're just starting, and they have all the pressure with exams and just growing friendships, etc., etc. And again, there's so many hidden carers as well. So people can take up to 2.5 years, I think the research is, to actually identify as an unpaid carer. And that's a phenomenal amount of time to go past before you actually think, actually, that is my role. But again, it does come back to identity, absolutely, on losing identity as well.
That's the thing, is you gain something that you didn't ask for. You lose that sense of self that you had anyway. And like, I'm sure that in the moment when you're providing, I suppose it's a duty, isn't it? Depending on the relationship you have with that person that you're caring for, you become duty bound, and so you don't necessarily see it as an issue or a problem overall, but there might be instances where there is an issue. And I suppose the thing which is cropping up in my mind, and from conversations I've had in the past, is there's an element of guilt that if you try and be yourself, you'll feel like you're letting down the person that you have the care responsibilities for. But if you identify as the carer, you're feeling guilt against yourself because now you can't go out and enjoy the things that you want to do. So you're stuck in the middle of two guilt traps. If someone finds themselves in that situation, Hayley, what is there any advice or guidance that someone could call upon?
I think it's finding the right support, isn't it? Depending on what the situation is. If you're faced with a specific disability, there will be, if it's dementia care, maybe there'll be organisations out there that support carers with dementia care. I know that with Rachel coming in and Time to Change Wales, they are part supported by Adferiad, who do support carers of people with mental illness. And I think that's integral to supporting the person with the disability, the illness, the disorder. But also, there are the Smartons, another place you could speak to people if you want to speak to people 24 hours a day. But turn into the right support networks and people who understand. I'm in groups on Facebook where there's parents with children with lots of challenging difficulties who are trying to group together because they understand what the struggle is. Like we can't really sit in here. I'm not a carer, I'm a parent, but I'm not a carer. I don't truly understand. I can empathise. I'm not in it. But I know these parents, I see their struggles, I see them asking the questions and somebody else answering it because they've been there. That is invaluable to find that kind of network.
I think that's really important, that peer support. And yeah, in a nutshell, yeah, absolutely, Hayley.
Yeah, of course, Tammy, you're involved with their support service as well.
I am, and I've engaged with providers and unpaid carers, and sometimes throughout the 3 counties, what a provider thinks a carer may need might be very different to what a carer actually needs, and that kind of comes back full circle to that perception. So whether, for example, a provider thinks it should be access to finance in the first instance, the benefits, to a carer who's just become a carer, it could just be keeping their cared for alive for the first 24 hours when they come home from hospital. So it's perception, it's those belief systems.
Gosh, like when you put it like that, like it is like bringing a newborn baby back home for the first time, but with so much more knowledge and awareness of the world. Like that's a lot to carry on your shoulders, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're just talking there about it's unpaid carers in particular. I know that we've done campaigns with Carers UK in the past, and they've got resources as well as the network that Tammy's with as well. But that unpaid element, it's also Volunteers Week finished yesterday, I think it was, or today, and that's some of people volunteering. We've talked about how wonderful it is and how it's a great way to add something. It's another string to your bow, and you can gain new experiences. But for some people, it's as much as they can do, and it's as much responsibility as they're willing to take. Hayley.
Yeah, I agree. I think for some, I've got friends who they want to do something with their lives, but because of their different illnesses, they can't do anything other than volunteer, because that allows them the flexibility to be in work or off work, depending on how their illness is affecting them that day. And I know we're probably getting better at doing that in the workplace, but I think patience does run dry. So volunteering is a way for somebody to give back, but it isn't always not always enough, because you volunteer because you want to give back. But when you feel like you want to work, or it must be really tough to be in that position.
Yeah, I think, that whole kind of, volunteering, it carries that positive connotations for that participant, that person, and it is rewarding, and it can be, beneficial, and we can upskill, and the term is perceived positively. But like you say, the other side of it is perhaps you're almost forced into that situation to volunteer because you can't actually do the things you want to do. And again, that comes back to perception versus reality. So,
yeah. Is there an argument here, though? So we've got perception versus reality. What if we flip that and it was reality versus perception? So the reality is I've got difficult situations. I can't work more than X number of hours because of ill health or caring responsibilities. But so this is my reality. However, I'm going to decide that this is more positive than negative to be in this situation, and I am gaining new skills. I am socializing. Is there an argument for that, Tammy?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's those small steps, those small incremental steps to working towards your preferred future. And again, it's that working towards that destination, the journey you take, deciding. And we've spoken about this in the past, both with Hayley and with you, Tom. It's about having that intent and wanting to change. And sometimes you can't do it straight away, even though you really want to, because of other external factors. But once you've made that choice, then you start to look for those opportunities. And again, doesn't happen in a day. It could take longer. But again, it's just having that focus.
Yeah. Hayley, do you have anything to add to that? And could we use that in other aspects of our life, do you think?
Yeah, I think most people volunteer because they want to give back. They've either been there themselves, or they understand some kind of struggle, or they just want to do something that helps somebody else. And I think it's wonderful. It is about upskilling, and if you can take that perception of it and that perspective, wonderful, because you'll get the most out of it. And I think that's key, isn't it? Is if you're going to do something, whether it's forced or not, if you're going to do something, try and get the most out of it. Even, we've talked about caring. If you can understand what you need and what you need to do, then you have a better idea of how to bring the resources together to meet your needs and the needs of the person that you care for. And the same with volunteering. What do you want to get out of it? Learn what you want to get out of it and see where that takes you.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense to me. I'm very anxious about the time. We've got Rachel is going to be joining us at about past. So very quickly, this is also Pride Month in June. Pembrokeshire Pride is happening on the 15th of July. And they shared an image the other day when Pride first started at the beginning of the month. And for some people's perception of Pride, they think of glitter, rainbows, flamboyance, and they look at all these people that are proud to be gay. For some people, that's not their reality at all. And the image they shared was of a grey shell turtle, but inside the actual turtle was rainbow. And for those that aren't ready yet, they may be feeling a sense of shame or denial or concern, fear maybe, as to who they might actually be. How can they embrace this month? Hayley, I'll come back to you.
I think this is really a challenge, isn't it? Because if you're not out, then how do you enjoy the celebration of it? But I suppose it's about finding that sort of way of doing it, either if you're on your own or if you've got a couple of friends who know, and being able to learn a little bit more about yourself. in relation to your gender, your sexuality, and becoming more confident in who you are, so that when you're ready, you can access that support, or, you know, tell the right people that you're ready to come out.
Yeah. Tammy, any additions?
Well, yes, you know, and again, I you know, Pride Month is such a beautiful and important landmark for the LGBTQ plus community. And we, you know, we all know it represents such a positive space for expression, self-discovery, learning. But again, it can be really hard if you're coping and you don't know where you fit in during Pride Month. But again, it's about just not celebrating, but just finding somebody perhaps that you can confide in. It's a hard time. It's hard to admit, but it could even awaken feelings that you didn't even know were there. So it's about just being in the moment as well. And again, it's that perception and reality where you can just go out and enjoy the celebration, just for it being a celebration.
Yeah, and just enjoy it. There's plenty of people. I went to Bristol Pride 2 years ago, just because my friend wanted to go. So you can enjoy, you can form that community without having to fully label yourself, if that's what the concern is. And if you want to know more, Pembrokeshire Pride is happening on the 15th of July, and on the daytime show with Toby on Tuesday, the 13th. So this coming Tuesday, Drew Baker from Pembrokeshire Pride is going to be on the show, explaining more about what you can expect on the day and what kind of what you can expect, and maybe you can go down there even if it's just to educate yourself or those around you. So there's already a friendly face, and you'll meet up with Drew on Tuesday on the daytime show. Thank you so much. Healthy Minds has well and truly kicked off. Rachel is ready and waiting for us. It's coming up to past now. Beyonce played Principality a couple of weeks ago, and it just so happens that Love on Top happens to be in the log. So we're not going to go a cappella and sing all those key changes for you, unless Tammy, Hayley, you really want to.
No.
But thank you.
I thought I'd offer it anyway. So we're going to have some Beyonce, and when we come back, we'll be live on your smart speaker, on the mobile app, online, and on our social media with Rachelle Bright from Time to Change Wales, where we'll find out more about the services they offer and how they can support you. So we'll be back in just a second here on Healthy Minds, Better Lives on Pure West Radio.